Welcome to the Yasmin Collection. My name is Jasmine Zink, Master Loctician with over 20 years of experience. This channel is dedicated to teaching you the tips and techniques of a six-figure loctician. Today I'm going to show you how I interlock. I'm going to also be sharing with you why I do what I do. Whether you are a beginner or you have interlocked before, this video should help you answer any of the questions that you may have or handle any troubleshooting issues that you've had in the past while interlocking clients. There are a couple different methods to interlock, one being the 4-point method, the other is called a 3-point method. I prefer the 4-point method because I find that it creates a rounder lock, a more cylindrical lock. There are so many different tools you can use to interlock. There is no right or wrong tool. It is all about personal preference, how it feels in your hand, how quick it helps you to get the job done. My biggest suggestion for beginners would be not to spend a lot of money on a tool. Just get a multi-pack. I'll link the multi-pack that I use below, and it comes with about 12 different tools in it. So you can see which one fits best in your hand, what you feel most comfortable with. And I don't know exactly what this tool is called, but for this video, I'm going to call it a needle. I always make sure I'm pushing the needle directly through the center of the lock, no matter which direction I'm pushing it through. With each rotation, I'm making sure that I hold the body of the lock straight out from the head so that I have a clear view of where the center of the lock is. You don't want a moving target. This also helps you control the positioning of the lock. You never want the lock to be excruciatingly or uncomfortably tight for your client, but sometimes it may, on the last rotation, it may get a little bit difficult to pull the lock through. In that case, you want to hold the base of the lock firmly, straight out from the head as you pull it through, just to relieve some tension for your client. What you see me doing here is called isolating the lock. It's very important to isolate. This prevents accidentally connecting two locks. It prevents messy partings, and it helps you stay in control of how neat your interlocks will be once you're done. Interlocking does not give the same look or finish as a retwist, but if done properly, it can be just as neat and clean as a retwist. With each rotation, I make sure I pull the needle all the way down to the matured part of the lock. And you'll be able to see this in the next part of this video. When you slide it in, you want to pull it all the way down to the mature part of the lock before you slide through. If you just slide through without pulling it all the way down, there will be a gap in the lock. Gaps create weakness. Weakness creates breakage. Gaps also create an inconsistent lock. So there may be a puffy part or a little knot in the lock. When doing the 4-point method, it's very important that you do not rotate in the same direction repeatedly. For example, if your first rotation is from right to left, you want your next rotation to either go up and down or down and up. It doesn't matter as long as you're not going right to left and left to right, back to back. It is, however, very important to consider how you finish your locks. You never want to finish your interlock in an upward direction or a forward direction unless you're creating bangs and you intentionally want the lock to lay that way for a while. I forgot to mention, with the 4-point method, going in the same direction repeatedly, it will put holes in the locks, and holes like big, huge gaps. So if you've interlocked before and you wonder why your lock is beginning to split, it's because you're going in the same direction over and over and over. So you just want to be sure to maintain the 4-point method with every single interlock. It will protect the integrity of the lock and create a nice, consistent lock in the long run. As I was closing this lock up, I noticed that my rotation pattern was not going to allow me to end in a downward motion. So there is no rule that says you have to end each lock going down. You can end going either to the right or to the left. The lock will have a bit of a right or left motion, but that's okay. It fits in with the rest. Once all of the locks are done, it's not a huge deal. You'll catch on to the pattern that you need to keep up with as you move through your client's head. Don't stress yourself. For the most part, my goal is always to end downward or in whichever direction I would like the lock to flow in. But to have an oddball here or there has never hurt anybody. So keep it moving. The more often you do this, the more confident and comfortable you will get with this process. And you'll also be able to tell how many rotations you have left. Feel free to make adjustments if you went up and you know you need to go right or you need to go left. If you switch the directions, that is perfectly okay. It will not ruin the lock. You just want to make sure that the last rotation is in the direction that you want. So there's a little calculating there, but you got this. Because I'm in a salon and my schedule is back to back, I like to do things as efficiently as possible. So before I move on to the next lock and start isolating, I always clip my tool on the end just so I don't have to put my tools down. I don't have to put my clips down. I don't have to put my combs down. Putting things down and picking things up significantly slows down your speed. That's just my opinion, but it will save you some time. It'll also help you not lose your tools. I don't know about you, but when I first started doing hair, I was losing everything. My combs, my scissors, my clips. As soon as I put it down, it disappeared. So here I have just a little bit of hair outside the lock. It's not quite enough for me to crochet it in. So the easier thing to do is just wrap it around before you interlock. It'll be fine. Remember to always slide the needle all the way down to the matured part of the lock and everything will be just fine. So this client has short hairs on the hairline, and short hairs can get a little tricky when it comes to interlocking, especially when neatness is at the top of the list for important things. And it's most definitely at the top of my list. So no hair left behind. So what I'm going to do is be sure to isolate when there's a lot of small hairs. Also, a general rule of thumb for me is I apply a little bit of product to the front hairline just for a more polished look. I don't apply it to the whole head because I just don't want to. And sometimes products make things a little bit harder to maintain and manage and keep control of. But for the small hairs, it helps keep control. So, just a small amount. You don't need a lot of products. I like Lock Set Serum. I will put the link in the description. For the short hairs, you want to draw the lock towards the hairline, towards the short hairs. Okay, because that's the only way that the short hairs will be included. You want to have it pulled towards the shorter hairs so that you can catch them in the loop. And you'll see me doing this shortly. So you're still maintaining your 4-point direction rotation. But you see how I'm grabbing the short hairs and I'm pulling it through? I don't know if you saw that. Just grab them just a little bit just to cause them to loop through. And because the base of the lock is so much smaller than the other bases, it's a little bit harder to catch the short hairs while holding it out at a 90-degree angle. So I lean the lock towards the short hairs just to try and catch them. See, I'm forcing them into the lock. And this is just for neatness. The hair is still short. It doesn't damage the lock, but those hairs are going to obey me. Okay? And if I said get in the lock, I mean get in the lock right now. As far as I know, this does not cause any damage to the hairline. It does not cause any additional tension to the hairline. It is just a method for me to get the cleanest possible look for my client when they leave. So here's another look at isolation. This will also speed your time up. Most of my clients have natural partings. Like I said, they do not get the square partings. That is just not the vibe at my shop. So C partings and natural partings can still be clean. I go through and get rid of all of the loose hairs on the parting line preliminarily just to make it easier for me, just so isolation doesn't take forever. It speeds the process up tremendously. I know you caught that $50 word, preliminarily. I'm just saying. Anyway. After I complete this rotation, I'm going to skip to the front because I know you guys get it. You understand what's going on. So I'm going to show you one more from the front hairline. Now, as you can see, this one has a little bit more hair outside of the lock. I wouldn't feel comfortable just wrapping that around. So I'm going to take my 0.55 millimeter crochet hook and just gather some of those hairs into the lock, because no hair left behind. If you're interested or want a tutorial on how to use the crochet hook needle thing, then please comment below and I'll be sure to make a separate video for that. Also, I'll leave the link to where you can find that particular crochet hook or needle in the description. So, I got you. Putting the finishing touches on this, she doesn't want a part. She just wants all of her locks to kind of go to the back, just so she can pull them into a ponytail easily. She wants them to stay away from her face. One more thing I forgot to mention, I did apply a little bit of the Lock Set Serum to the entire front hairline. So there is product on this lock, just a little bit. And all of the products that I use to moisturize, I use them after I complete the interlock. Do not apply product before you interlock. It will be so hard to keep control of the lock in the tool. Your fingers will be slippery. The tool will be slippery. Everything will be slipping and sliding all over the place. So I'll tag all the products below and where you can find them. But these are just the finishing touches. It is still very important to moisturize those locks. Even though they're interlocked, there's no product on them other than the shampoo and conditioner that we started with. So this will just put moisture into her hair. You want to be generous. Don't be stingy with your product. This is a leave-in conditioner for strengthening and moisture. It also will protect her color from fading. I love this leave-in conditioner by Design Essentials. The link is in the description. And after you use your moisture products, all of your wet products, you want to follow it up with oil just to close down the cuticles and to lock in the moisture. She is all done and ready to go. Her interlock will last for 6 to 8 weeks. She can get her hair wet. She is free to sweat and swim, and it looks gorgeous. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash, punch, stomp on the subscribe button for more videos like this.